If you have good habits, time becomes your ally. You just need to let time work for you. If you have bad habits, then time is your enemy. And now every day that clicks by, you're putting yourself a little bit deeper into the hole. So I don't think this means you need to get rid of your ambitious dreams. Like if we just want to summarize, we could say when you're making plans, think big, but when you're making progress, think small. And so Atomic Habits talks about scaling behaviors down to the smallest possible unit, the atomic unit, the little piece that builds upon others. And if you do it right and you build a small habit and continue to build those on top of each other and compound into some more remarkable results in the long run.
Give me an example.
Well, you can think about this pretty much anywhere. Like most of your results in life are a lagging measure of your habits. So your knowledge is a lagging measure of your reading habits. So reading 1 page a day doesn't seem like much, but reading every day turns into real wisdom over the span of your life.
How do I create a habit to read more?
Well, there are a bunch of things you can do. One simple strategy is environment design. So let's say every morning you make your bed. Instead of just making your bed and moving on with your day, place a book on the pillow. When you go to get into bed at night, the book's waiting for you. You can read a page, set it on the counter. Another example, so that's like physical environment design. Digital environments, this is my phone. So when I wanted to build a reading habit, I put Audible and Pocket. So Pocket allows you to save articles to read for later. Audible is audiobooks. And I put those right here in the main bar on my phone. So they'd be the first thing that I saw as soon as I opened my phone up. Now, putting a book on the pillow or changing your applications on your phone, like, no, that's one of those changes, probably isn't going to radically transform your habits. But if you make a few dozen of those little choices, those little 1% improvements, well, now all of a sudden you're living and working in an environment where it's much easier to read than it was before.
One of my worst habits is getting off the phone at night. I just will get in bed at 10 o'clock, but at 11 o'clock, I'm still in bed on the phone on my social media.
Power down habits are hard for me too. I feel like that's a tough area for a lot of people.
What do you recommend? I know on CBS this morning you mentioned a friend you have, another author who has a strategy.
Yeah, he uses what's called an outlet timer. And basically an outlet timer is a little device, costs like $10 or so. And it's like an adapter. You plug it into the wall and then you plug your device into the outlet. And so what he did was he plugged the outlet timer into the wall and then his internet router into it and then set it to kill the power at 10 p.m. each night. So 10 p.m. comes around, internet goes off, can't watch Netflix, can't browse the web, send emails, time to go to bed. And you can actually, now you can do a lot of things like that with technology. You can have the lights in your house dim automatically at 10, the internet could go off, and you know, a couple different things that are all kind of like shaping you towards, all right, it's time to like put this away and go to sleep. Yeah, it's a good question, because the idea of getting 1% better on any given day, a choice that's 1% better or 1% worse, seems pretty insignificant. Like, you know, what is the difference between eating a burger and fries for lunch or eating a salad? Not a whole lot on any given day. You know, like your body looks the same in the mirror at the end of the night. Scale hasn't really changed. And certainly that's true when it comes to saving money and building up a retirement nest egg and so on. You know, any individual saving action doesn't seem to make that much difference. Or choosing to buy, splurge on some purchase doesn't seem to be that impactful. So it's very easy to dismiss the importance of 1% changes. I have this little story that I like to tell that I feel like illustrates this. So imagine that you walk into a room, it's cold, you can see your breath, you've got this ice cube sitting on the table in front of you. It's like 25 degrees. And slowly you start to heat the room up, 26, 27, 28. Ice cube is still sitting there, 29, 30, 31. And then all of a sudden you go from 31 to 32 degrees, and it's a 1 degree shift, just like all the ones that came before it. But you hit this phase transition, this tipping point, and the ice cube starts to melt. And the process of building habits or changing habits and getting results is often a lot like that. You know, like you're showing up each day and you're putting work in, and you hear people say things like this. They'll say like, I've been running for a month, why can't I see a change in my body? Or I've been working on this book for 6 months now, the outline's still a mess, I feel like I haven't made any progress. And the truth is, complaining about working for a little while, working hard and not having the results you want is kind of like complaining about heating an ice cube from 25 to 31 degrees and it not melting yet. The work is not wasted, it's just being stored. And the San Antonio Spurs NBA basketball team, they've won 5 championships. They've got this quote in their locker room that I feel like encapsulates this idea. It says something to the effect of, when I feel like giving up, I think about the stonecutter who takes his hammer and bangs on the rock 100 times without it showing a crack. And then on the 101st blow, it splits in two. And I know that it wasn't the 101st that did it, but all the 100 that came before. And I think you can say that about pretty much any one of your habits. It's not the last sentence you write that writes the book. It's all the ones that came before. It's not the last workout you did that changes your body. It's all the ones that came before. It's not the last entry into your savings account that leads to retirement. It's all the ones that came before. And so seeing the short term, seeing through the short term and seeing the long term is really about embracing that idea. So embracing that idea that the work is not being wasted, it's just being stored. You're building up the potential energy to release at a later point. So that idea that habits of the compound interest of self-improvement, it's basically like the same way that money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them across time. And we could say this about pretty much any area in life. Like the results that you experience are often a lagging measure of your habits. So your knowledge is a lagging measure of your reading and learning habits. Your bank account is a lagging measure of your financial and saving habits. Your body and physical fitness is a lagging measure of your training and eating habits. And the hallmark of any compounding process is that the greatest returns are delayed. And so you really need patience to let those things to start to accrue and compound. So to take knowledge, for example, no, reading one book will not make you a genius, but a commitment to a habit of lifelong learning and a commitment to a habit of reading, well, now all of a sudden those things, it's not just that like you add one book to the pile of what you've read. You also, each time you read a new book, you make connections with all the old books that you've read. You have a new way to look at all the previous ideas that you've consumed. And so there's this like compounding nature of how ideas connect together and build on top of each other. It's not just one thing. Productivity is another one you mentioned. No, working for 10 extra minutes or making the extra sales call today or putting in a little bit of extra effort, that's not going to lead to radically different productivity. But a habit of always making the extra sales call, well, over the course of a career, 10, 20, 30 years, that can really compound in a very significant way. And so it's really about using that 1% improvement as something that you do as a daily habit. And that I think is why habits matter so much. They provide this little advantage that you can start to compound day after day. And this is why I say, like, if you have good habits, time becomes your ally. You just need to let time work for you. If you have bad habits, then time is your enemy. And now every day that clicks by, you're putting yourself a little bit deeper into the hole. And this is, ultimately these strategies like environment design or things like that are ways to accelerate that process a little bit or make it a little bit easier. But ultimately what you're looking to do, and this is something I talk about in the second chapter of the book, is you're looking to foster a new identity, right? You're looking to start to look at yourself as someone who values sleep, for example, or who, like, when I was in college, I had a rule where if I got to midnight and I was still studying, then I would just put the books away and go to bed, because there's always something more to do. Like I could have studied for another hour, but once I started to adopt that as part of my identity, I'm the type of person who goes to bed at midnight every night. Then I made sure I was getting enough sleep, and that was more beneficial in my view than studying for an extra hour. For writing, for example, I have a friend who's a writer, and his daily habit is to write one sentence. And there are plenty of days when, he has 2 little kids, and there are plenty of days when he writes full page, or does even more. But on the bad days, on the days when he's tired or sick or stressed or didn't get a lot of sleep, he can still get at least a sentence done. I've had other readers who have done similar things with exercise habits. There's this one guy, Mitch, I mentioned him in the book as well. He ended up losing over 100 pounds, but he wasn't allowed to go to the gym for more than 5 minutes. So for the first 6 weeks, he would just get in his car, drive to the gym, get out, do half an exercise, get back in the car, drive home. And it sounds ridiculous, right? It doesn't seem like this is the type of thing that would make a difference or get results. But if you take a step back, what you realize is he was becoming the type of person that went to the gym 4 days a week, right? He was like mastering the art of showing up. And I think that's a very deep truth about habits that's often overlooked, which is a habit must be established before it can be improved, right? Like if you don't have anything that you're doing, even if you can't be the type of person that goes to the gym for just 5 minutes, there's nothing to optimize. There's nothing to improve. You don't have any raw material to work with. And I think so often we're focused on looking for the perfect business idea, the best workout program, the ideal diet to follow. We're so focused on optimizing that we don't give ourselves permission to show up, even if it's just in a small way.